Ancient Egypt, the very name conjures images of golden sands and towering pyramids. It speaks of a civilization that lasted for millennia. This was a land blessed by the Nile River. Its annual floods brought fertile black silt. This silt made the land rich for farming. It allowed a powerful kingdom to grow. The pharaohs, rulers of this kingdom, were seen as more than just kings. They were considered living gods on earth. Their power seemed absolute. Their wealth was almost beyond our modern comprehension, truly staggering to imagine. The New Kingdom period, in particular, was an era of incredible prosperity. This was Egypt's golden age, stretching roughly from the 16th to the 11th century BCE. Pharaohs of this time commanded vast resources. They controlled gold mines in Nubia to the south. They oversaw extensive trade networks that reached far across the ancient world. This wealth was not just for personal luxury, it was a symbol of Egypt's might and the pharaoh's divine connection. It funded immense building projects and sustained a complex society. We look back now and marvel at their achievements. Imagine the scene. Great temples gleamed with gold and vibrant paint. Palaces bustled with courtiers and servants. Workshops produced exquisite jewelry, furniture and art. This was not just a kingdom, it was an empire. Its influence stretched from Syria in the north to deep into Africa. The pharaoh stood at the very apex of this grand structure. He was the shepherd of his people. He was the intermediary between the gods and mortals. His well-being and his riches were believed to ensure the prosperity of the entire land of Egypt. This concept of divine kingship was central to Egyptian life. The pharaoh was Horus, the falcon god in human form. He was the son of Ra, the sun god. After death, he would become Osiris, ruler of the underworld. This divine status gave him immense authority. It also placed upon him great responsibilities. He had to maintain Ma'at, the cosmic order, truth, and justice. The accumulation and display of wealth were part of this duty. It demonstrated his power and his favor with the gods, reassuring his people. The pharaoh's immense wealth was not simply a matter of personal greed. It was deeply intertwined with Egyptian religion and ideology. The ancient Egyptians believed their world was divinely ordered. The pharaoh was the cornerstone of this order. He was chosen by the gods to rule. This divine mandate gave him the right to control the land's resources. Gold was considered the flesh of the gods. It was therefore fitting that the pharaoh, a living god, should possess so much of it. His riches were a reflection of divine power. This belief system provided a powerful justification for the vast disparities in wealth. The pharaoh was responsible for maintaining Ma'at. This cosmic balance ensured the Nile would flood, crops would grow, and Egypt would prosper. To do this, he needed resources. He needed to build temples to honor the gods. He needed to fund massive public works. He needed to reward loyal officials and soldiers. The wealth of the pharaoh was, in a way, the wealth of Egypt itself. It was seen as essential for the kingdom's survival and success. The pharaoh was also the chief priest of every cult in Egypt. He delegated his priestly duties, of course, but ultimately all offerings flowed through him. Temples became major economic centers. They owned vast tracts of land. They employed thousands of people. They received donations and tribute. The pharaoh controlled this temple economy. This further concentrated wealth under his authority. The religious system and the economic system were inextricably linked. Both served to reinforce the pharaoh's supreme position in society. Furthermore, the pharaoh's role as an intermediary was crucial. He communicated the will of the gods to the people. He also presented the people's needs to the gods. His personal splendor and the magnificence of his court were important. They demonstrated his ability to please the gods. They showed that Egypt was favored. Lavish displays of gold, intricate art, and monumental architecture were not just for show. They were active participants in maintaining the divine order. They were prayers in stone and precious metal, ensuring continued blessings for the land. Ramses II, often called Ramses the Great, is one of Egypt's most famous pharaohs. He reigned for an astonishing 67 years during the 19th dynasty. His name became synonymous with power, ambition, and immense wealth. A significant portion of this wealth came from his military prowess. Ramses was a warrior king. He led numerous campaigns into Nubia, Libya, and the Levant. These campaigns were not just about expanding Egypt's borders, they were about securing valuable resources and extracting tribute from conquered peoples. He was a master of projecting power. Nubia to the south was particularly rich in gold. Egyptian control over Nubian gold mines was a cornerstone of pharaonic wealth. Ramses II intensified this exploitation. He established fortresses and administrative centers. He ensured a steady stream of gold flowed north into Egypt's treasuries. This gold was vital. It funded his massive building projects. It paid his army. It allowed him to maintain a lavish court. The spoils of war also included cattle, raw materials, and enslaved people. All these contributed to the pharaoh's riches and the state's economy. Beyond direct conquest, the threat of Egyptian military might often lead to tribute. Vassal states and neighboring rulers would send lavish gifts. These gifts were essentially payments to ensure peace. They included precious metals, exotic woods, incense, and other luxury goods. Ramses II's long reign meant he could accumulate these resources over many decades. His diplomatic correspondence, like the famous peace treaty with the Hittites after the Battle of Kadesh, also highlights the importance of international relations. These relations often involved the exchange of valuable commodities, further enriching the pharaoh. Ramses II was not just a warrior, he was a skilled propagandist. He used his wealth to project an image of himself as an invincible leader. His monuments were covered in reliefs. These reliefs depicted his victories, often exaggerating his personal heroism. This served to legitimize his rule. It also discouraged rebellion and ensured the continued flow of resources. His ability to command and control such vast wealth was a testament to his organizational skills and the efficiency of the Egyptian state under his long and impactful rule. Ramses II's immense wealth found its most enduring expression in his monumental building projects. He was perhaps the most prolific builder in Egyptian history. His constructions were on a scale rarely seen before or since. These were not just buildings, they were statements of power. They were designed to awe and inspire. They were meant to last for eternity, ensuring his name would never be forgotten. The resources required were staggering. Quarries worked overtime. Thousands of laborers, craftsmen, and artists were employed across the land. His most famous monuments include the great rock-cut temples of Abu Simbel in Nubia. These temples were carved directly into a mountainside. 4 colossal statues of Ramses himself, each over 20 meters high, guard the entrance to the main temple. This was a clear message to the Nubians. It asserted Egyptian dominance and the pharaoh's divine status. Further north, he completed the magnificent hypostyle hall at Karnak Temple. He also built his own vast mortuary temple, the Ramesseum, on the west bank of Thebes. It was filled with statues and reliefs celebrating his reign. Ramses also founded a new capital city in the Nile Delta named Pi-Rameses Arnaktu, meaning Domain of Ramses, great in victory. This city became a major administrative and military center. It was described in ancient texts as being filled with beauty and abundance. Its construction required enormous logistical efforts. It demonstrated the pharaoh's ability to mobilize resources on an unprecedented scale. The city was strategically located. It allowed for better control over Egypt's northern territories and its interests in Asia. It was a hub of activity and wealth. These building projects had a significant societal impact. They provided employment for a large portion of the population. They stimulated the development of skills in quarrying, construction, and artistry. They also reinforced the religious and political ideology of the state. The temples served as centers for worship and economic activity. The sheer scale of Ramses' constructions left an indelible mark on the Egyptian landscape. They continue to fascinate us today. They stand as powerful testaments to his long reign and the incredible wealth he commanded during his lifetime. Section 5. Amenhotep the Magnificent, the Golden Pharaoh of Peace. Amenhotep III, who reigned during the 18th dynasty, was another pharaoh of immense wealth. He is often referred to as Amenhotep the Magnificent. Unlike Ramses II, his riches were accumulated less through constant warfare and more through diplomacy, trade, and the efficient management of Egypt's resources. His reign was largely a period of peace and unprecedented prosperity. Egypt was at the height of its international power and prestige. This allowed Amenhotep III to focus on culture, arts, and monumental building, financed by a steady influx of wealth. Egypt under Amenhotep III controlled vast gold mines in Nubia. This gold of Kush was legendary throughout the ancient Near East. Foreign rulers often wrote to the pharaoh almost begging for gold. They would say that gold is as dust in Egypt. This demonstrates the sheer quantity of the precious metal at Amenhotep's disposal. He used this gold strategically. He sent lavish gifts to other kings. This fostered good relations and encouraged trade. It also maintained Egypt's dominant position in the region without resorting to constant conflict. International trade flourished during Amenhotep III's reign. Egypt imported timber, silver, copper, lapis lazuli, and other exotic goods. These came from the Levant, Mesopotamia, the Aegean, and the land of Punt, likely in the Horn of Africa. In return, Egypt exported gold, grain, papyrus, and finished luxury items. The pharaoh controlled much of this trade. Royal expeditions were sent to distant lands. The profits from these ventures flowed directly into the royal treasury. This sophisticated network of exchange greatly contributed to the opulence of his court. Amenhotep III was also a skilled administrator. He oversaw a well-organized state. This ensured efficient tax collection and management of agricultural resources. The fertile lands along the Nile produced abundant harvests. These provided the foundation for Egypt's wealth. His officials managed vast estates and workshops. They ensured that the resources of the kingdom were effectively utilized. This combination of abundant natural resources, thriving international trade, and astute governance made Amenhotep III one of the wealthiest rulers the world had ever seen up to that point. His reign truly was a golden age. Section 6, A Reign of Splendor, Amenhotep III's artistic and architectural legacy. Amenhotep III used his vast wealth to patronize the arts and embark on an extensive building program. His reign is renowned for the exceptional quality and sheer quantity of its artistic output. Statues, reliefs, and paintings reached new heights of sophistication and elegance. He commissioned hundreds, if not thousands, of statues of himself and various deities. These were crafted from a wide range of materials, including granite, quartzite, and diorite. Many of these statues are considered masterpieces of Egyptian art, showcasing refined skill and a serene, powerful aesthetic. His most significant architectural contributions were in Thebes, the religious capital of Egypt. He dramatically expanded Luxor Temple. He added a new entrance pylon, a colonnaded forecourt, and the magnificent colonnade hall with its towering papyrus bundle columns. This work transformed Luxor into one of Egypt's most beautiful and impressive sacred sites. He also built a vast mortuary temple on the west bank of the Nile. Though little of it remains today, except for the two massive statues known as the Colossi of Memnon, it was once the largest royal temple ever constructed in Egypt. The Colossi of Memnon are truly iconic. Each statue is about 18 meters or 60 feet tall and depicts the pharaoh seated on his throne. They originally stood guard at the entrance to his mortuary temple. Imagine the sight of this temple complex in its heyday. It was filled with courtyards, halls, and shrines, all adorned with statues and reliefs. Amenhotep III also built a sprawling palace complex nearby, known as Malkata. This palace of the dazzling Aten was a city in itself. It included residential areas, administrative buildings, audience halls, and even a large artificial lake. The splendor of Amenhotep III's court was legendary. He celebrated multiple said festivals or jubilees. These were elaborate rituals intended to rejuvenate the king's power. They involved grand processions, feasts, and ceremonies. These festivals were opportunities to display the pharaoh's wealth and divine favor. The art and architecture of his reign reflect this atmosphere of opulence and confidence. They speak of a ruler who commanded immense resources. He used them to create a legacy of beauty and grandeur that continues to inspire awe millennia later. Section 7. Beyond stone and gold societal impact of Pharaoh's wealth. The enormous wealth of pharaohs like Ramses II and Amenhotep III did not exist in a vacuum. It had profound and far-reaching impacts on Egyptian society as a whole. While the pharaoh and the elite enjoyed the greatest share of these riches, the benefits and burdens were distributed more widely. The massive building projects, for instance, provided employment for tens of thousands of people. This included skilled artisans like sculptors, painters, and jewelers. It also included quarrymen, laborers, and transport workers. These projects were huge economic engines. The state-controlled economy meant that much of this wealth was redistributed. Workers on royal projects were often paid in kind. They received rations of grain, beer, fish, and cloth. While not a wage in the modern sense, this system sustained a large workforce. It also fostered the development of specialized skills. The demand for high-quality goods for the court and temples stimulated craftsmanship. Workshops produced exquisite furniture, pottery, textiles, and metalwork. This artistic output is one of the enduring legacies of ancient Egypt, admired globally. Religious institutions, particularly the temples dedicated to major gods like Amun-Ra, also benefited immensely. Pharaohs endowed these temples with land, livestock, and precious goods. Temples became major landowners and economic powers in their own right. They employed priests, scribes, farmers, and craftsmen. They played a vital role in the spiritual life of the community. They also acted as centers for learning and administration. The pharaoh's patronage of the gods was seen as essential for maintaining cosmic order and ensuring Egypt's prosperity, thus justifying this flow of wealth. However, it's also important to consider the cost. The resources, both human and material, required for these grand undertakings were immense. While some workers were skilled and perhaps well treated, others, particularly those in quarries or mines, likely endured harsh conditions. Conquered peoples provided tribute and forced labor. The system was built on a steep social hierarchy. The pharaoh's wealth ultimately depended on the productivity of the agricultural peasants and the extraction of resources from both Egypt and its territories. Their lives were undoubtedly laborious, forming the base of this gilded pyramid. Section 8. Secrets Beneath the Sands. The lure of lost treasures. The incredible wealth of the pharaohs, so vividly displayed in their tombs and temples, has fueled imaginations for centuries. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 by Howard Carter was a global sensation. Its dazzling array of golden artifacts provided a stunning glimpse into the riches buried with even a relatively minor king. This discovery naturally leads to a tantalizing question. If Tutankhamun, who died young and was not one of the most powerful pharaohs, had such treasures, what about long-reigning, immensely wealthy rulers like Ramses II or Amenhotep III? Many royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings were looted in antiquity. This was a common problem even during pharaonic times. Tomb robbery was a risky but potentially lucrative enterprise. Despite this, the sheer scale of wealth accumulated by some pharaohs suggests that not everything may have been found. There is always the possibility of undiscovered caches. Perhaps some tombs were so cleverly hidden that they escaped the notice of ancient robbers. Or maybe some treasures were secreted away in other locations, awaiting a lucky finder. This hope keeps the allure alive. Archaeologists continue to work in Egypt, making new discoveries every year. While finding an intact royal tomb of a major New Kingdom pharaoh is highly unlikely, it is not entirely impossible. Sometimes new chambers are found within known tombs. Sometimes caches of funerary equipment or temple goods are unearthed. The sands of Egypt still hold many secrets. Each discovery, no matter how small, adds another piece to the puzzle of this ancient civilization. It reminds us of the incredible richness of their culture and the power of their rulers. The search for hidden treasures is not just about gold and jewels. It is about connecting with the past. It is about understanding the beliefs and practices of the ancient Egyptians. It is about piecing together the story of these powerful individuals and their impact on history. The romance of discovery, the thrill of potentially uncovering something lost for millennia, continues to drive exploration. The legacy of the billionaire pharaohs is not just in their monuments. It is also in the enduring mystery and the persistent hope that more wonders lie buried, waiting to be revealed to the world. Section 9. A Pharaoh's Fortune, a Timeless Question. The stories of Ramses II and Amenhotep III, with their unimaginable wealth, resonate through the ages. They commanded resources that few in history could ever dream of. Gold flowed like water. Armies marched at their command. Monuments rose to pierce the sky. This concentration of power and riches in the hands of a single individual raises fascinating questions. It prompts us to reflect on the nature of wealth itself. What would you do if you possessed such a fortune? How would you wield such immense power and influence? Would you focus on monumental constructions, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape for millennia to come? Perhaps you would invest in art and culture, fostering a golden age of creativity. Or maybe your priorities would lie in military expansion, securing borders and resources. Would you strive for peace through diplomacy and trade, or would conquest be your path to glory? The pharaohs faced these choices. Their decisions shaped their legacies. They influenced the lives of millions of their subjects and the course of ancient history. The wealth of these ancient rulers also came with immense responsibility. They were expected to maintain Ma'at, the divine order. They were tasked with ensuring the prosperity and security of their people. Their riches were, in theory, meant to serve the entire kingdom. The line between personal aggrandizement and public duty was perhaps thinner then. Yet, the question of how wealth should be used for the greater good remains relevant today. Leaders, whether ancient pharaohs or modern heads of state, face similar dilemmas about resource allocation and legacy. The enduring impact of these billionaire pharaohs is undeniable. Their monuments still stand as powerful symbols of human ambition and ingenuity. Their treasures continue to captivate and inspire. They remind us of a time when kings were gods and gold seemed as common as dust. Their stories challenge us to think about what truly constitutes a lasting legacy. Is it measured in stone and gold, or in the well-being of a society? The golden pharaohs of Egypt offer no simple answers, but their magnificent reigns provide endless material for reflection and wonder.